We're live. Welcome to the 500 subscriber special. I don't know if anyone's here yet. I looked up an article online about what to do with YouTube live stream milestones, and they said just do something different. So I'm doing something different. I got a whole bunch of zucchini gifted to me by a landscaper who was cleaning up someone's home, and they got a whole bunch of zucchini out of it, like 50 pounds worth. So I cut them all up, roasted them, and now I am chopping them up and blending them up to make a soup out of them, which I will then pressure can. So we are in the blending phase of this project. So I cut out all the meat. I roasted the zucchini to make the meat easier to handle, and cut out all the meat, and I blend it with some pork stock that I previously pressure canned. I'll show you. So I canned this in March 2023. I got a bunch of smoked pork bones, and I made stock, and I pressure canned it, so still good and safe to eat. And I'm adding that to the zucchini in the blender so that it blends well and to give it flavor in the soup. Let's go like this. So this is an other interest of mine. Food preservation and canning and that sort of thing. So I thought, since I got a whole bunch of free zucchini, I'll put the whole thing. I may as well can a whole bunch of soup. So that this winter we'll have some soup already made, or it can be used for long-term storage in case of, who knows, power outages, supply chain breakdown, hyperinflation. And so here's the zucchini soup. So now what we need to do is chop up an onion, because we need to add flavor to this soup, though the stock is already pretty good. So we're gonna adding onion and this basil that I grew on my balcony. Smells so good. And we're going to be adding white pepper and salt. First, we'll render down this, not render, but caramelize this onion. A lot of these ingredients are local. The pork bones are from a pig that I bought, and I used the bones to make bone broth, and I used cracklings, which is, so I render down this lard, which I'll use to cook the onion in. And I canned it. So I use the pork fat and I render it down. So out of that rendering process, you get little bits of cartilage. I know it sounds kind of gross, but those still have flavor in them, so I what do you call it? I vacuum pack them and use them to make stock because they add nutrition and flavor to the stock. Caramelize these so they become very, very soft. We'll use most of this onion because it's a very big soup. I also dehydrate some food, fresh fruits and vegetables, and I cure meat. Now I think a meat curing stream would be fun, but I ordered a side of beef. It hasn't arrived yet, so I don't have good cuts of meat to cure. That'll have to wait. Let's wash this basil. We'll clip all the good parts. So that'll go in the soup eventually. I love the smell of fresh basil. It's grown on my balcony because I've got a south facing balcony, and the basil loves the sun and the heat, so it does well on that balcony. We're going to use a lot of basil. It's a big soup and we want good flavor. Cut off the top flower because that's too strong. Basil flower, the flavor is too strong, I find. It's the basil leaves that you want. Today is a holiday here in Canada. For most people, Reconciliation Day. It's a new holiday. It's about trying to heal the wounds of Canadian history in relation to treatment of the Indigenous, which I find is a good idea. I think some take it pretty far. Kind of take it as an opportunity to self-flagellate or engage in ritualistic shame. Bad things happen in the world. And you gotta do what we can to kind of recover from it. But getting swept up in emotion or anger or rage doesn't help anything. I think just learning about the indigenous, how they live, the certain challenges they currently face in their communities, like clean drinking water, being aware of that, and maybe there's charities you can donate to, or you can take political action, or whatever it is that you feel you're capable of doing. You can do those things. In general, when it comes to trauma, it's just good practice to try to be kind in general to people. Don't underestimate the power of just speaking kindly to people. So this is cooking pretty good. This onion. A little piece of peel here. What I did, I looked up in this book called The Flavor Bible, and it's alphabetized. So I looked up zucchini in the book, and it tells me all the good flavor matchings you can have with zucchini. And it recommended basil, and it said onion too. So I thought, and it mentioned, so that those I knew because I had zucchini basil soup before. But it also said white pepper, which that was new to me. The idea that white pepper would be good with zucchini. Yeah, let's make a coffee here. We're going to let that, yeah, I got a good flavor, good aroma coming from it because I'm cooking it in the rendered fat. Which I had previously flavored with spices, crackling, like I mentioned. It's fun to do these big projects, but you always end up with like a million dishes you gotta deal with. This is a peel here. Not many people coming to this stream. I didn't really expect that there would be, because it's like, I mean, yeah, I wasn't sure, but I figured probably wouldn't be, because it's an unusual stream, plus I'm doing it early morning. And I think for most people, they don't have a holiday, but that's okay. I was gonna do this anyway, so I figured no harm in streaming it. I'm gonna be cooking, so it's not more work for me to be streaming the cooking, but I gotta do it anyway. Let's chop up this basil. Incredible aroma. This basil is not going to go in till later because you don't want to burn your burn off the oils, and you almost basically put the basils almost right at the end, get the most flavor out of the spice. That's what I was told anyway. These are starting to look really good. Get the soup going. Donald Cooper, what method will you be using to preserve it? Thanks for tuning in. By the way, I'm gonna pressure can it. It's not gonna take long to cook this soup at all. It's basically just, it's already pureed. I'm just gonna cook it a bit. It's kind of a formality, actually. And the pressure canning process will cook it as well. So I roasted these zucchinis already, so it's cooked that way already. I'm just going to cook it for a few minutes to make sure it's cooked through, and then I'll throw it in the pressure canner. So I'll probably be doing that in like 10 minutes. These onions are cooked. I'm going to add them to the soup. This adds fat to the soup as well, which is nutrition in the cold winter months. Adds color because the onions got caramelized, so the soup starts to look a nice color. Browns them a little bit, browns the soup a bit. Very hearty, thick soup, right? This can be added to another soup to thicken it, or I've got these different kinds of vegetables that I've previously preserved. So this is pumpkin. This can be ground up and added to a soup to add flavor or to thicken it, or yeah, it's all sorts of tricks that I learned over the years. Donald Cooper looks nice. Thanks, Donald. This is almost boiling, this soup. Really what I should do is I should be blending it again after. But I think that when this goes in the pressure canner, it's gonna super heat everything anyway. And I don't think those onion pieces are gonna have that much firmness once canned, so I'm just gonna skip the whole second blending process. I'm just mixing it a lot because I've got relatively high heat on here and I don't want the bottom to burn. While that's doing, I'm gonna get my jars so we can transfer the pressure to the cans. I got two different size lids here. I've got 5 of the small. Got 5 of the small mouth jars. I don't know how much I'll need. I think I'll need more than that. Now these are clean. They're not sterilized, but because they go through the pressure canning process, it superheats them and it sterilizes as it cans. That's the whole idea of canning it. So I don't sterilize them. Have you had issues with the jar lids lately? I've heard they are making them thinner now. You know what? No. The only time I've had an issue with the jar lids was when dry canning. I've tried dry canning some stuff that I had dried in the dehydrator and putting it in the oven to try to get them to snap. And I would say maybe 20% success at getting them to seal. So just no luck at all with that. So I abandoned that whole project. So I just do the pressure can for, and then for drying, I just keep it in jars and I hope for the best. And I try to use it as it goes, or I vacuum pack it to, like if it's a soup, I could dehydrate some of this and take it on hikes, though I've been hiking a lot less, so I'm not doing that as much. But yeah, not for pressure canning. For pressure canning, these have been fine. This canned in 2023 and still real nice and tight, no problem. So yeah. I gotta get some big ones. hopefully this is enough jars. I've got a lot of the wide mouth lids. These are actually gem jars. Don't have any gem lids. Looks like I've got 3 wide mouth jars. I've got some smaller ones, but it's kind of, I find it's kind of a waste of time to can the smaller ones. Go for gold, you know. You take up too much space, like bottom of the jar space. All right, let's add this basil here. Very, very fragrant basil. And we'll cook that in a little bit, not very long, because we don't want to. That gives it a really nice, it looks nice with the green parts in it. Now what would be nice would be some red bell peppers that you add to that, so you have the green, the red, and the yellow, but I don't have any, so too bad. So that'll go for just a minute, and I have this thing. This here, the best thing I ever bought for canning, other than the pressure canner. It's basically a wide mouth funnel specifically for canning, which is amazing. Instead of like trying to pour and wipe down the edges and messing it up, you just pour it in there and away you go. I like curing meat, I like dehydrating foods, I like canning. It's time consuming. I've been going since 6:30 this morning, and it's now 7:30, so I've been going an hour, but it's so rewarding when you're tired one night and you don't feel like cooking. You just go in the pantry and grab something. It's nice. It's also, I like to look at my pantry. That's my pantry in the back there. And just look at all the foods laid out, and I kind of mentally calculate, you know, how long it would last me. And, you know, so comfortably 2 months, rationed out 6 months of just a food. Assuming I'd have access to water. Not that I'm any kind of like prepper. I don't, you know, like these prepper people, they go hard, you know, like they buy like fuel and all this stuff, and yeah, it's, they go intense. All right, that's enough. We're gonna start transferring this beautiful oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't put the white pepper and the salt, so I should do that. The Flavor Bible said white pepper is a good I'm eyeballing it. That's how my mother taught me to cook. Put a little bit less than you think, and then you taste it and see how it is. I'm gonna sneeze because I got some of that white pepper in my nose. I sneezed way over there so I wouldn't get any in the soup. So that's mixed in good. We'll do a little taste test. Donald Cooper, yeah buddy. Yeah buddy, indeed. Let's see here. It's pretty good to me, needs salt. It's big soup, so I'll be shy on the salt. And it's okay if it's undersalted, because it's canned, so when you take it out, if it's not salted enough, you just salt it in your bowl, right? Makes sense for power outages and things. Yeah, for sure. I gotta dehydrate more food, because in this area I'm at, we get a lot of we get forest fires. Last year, I had done a lot more hiking, and I had my hiking bag with like camping stove and the Jeep and dehydrated soups and that sort of thing all in there, which was doubling as an emergency bag, right? So when we decided it wasn't necessary, we weren't advised to evacuate, but we decided to evacuate because the smoke and the ash and all that. So you know, so it kind of highlighted how it was nice to have like that food. Like we could have lived in the truck for 3 to 5 days, right? So not that we needed to, but you never know, right? Big Sept, congrats on 500 subs. Thank you. Yep. Welcome to the zucchini stream. And we're ready to do a transfer to our jars and then pressure can. Oh yeah, it's good. It's good soup. I didn't catch it if you said what white pepper is made from. Dang, I don't know what white pepper is made from. It's white pepper, like black, is the berry of the pepper vine, picked ripe. Aha. Instead of letting it dry on the vine, I guess. And hulled. The berry turns white when dried. Slightly milder in flavor than black pepper. Used as a general seasoning. So it's pepper, just picked at a different ripeness. All right, y'all ready to transfer this to the jars? Let's do this. I don't know how much each jar is going to take. What's nice with the funnel too is I can put it over the rim of the pot that the soup's cooked in, and whatever I miss putting in the funnel just goes back into the pot. Now I've found this is the absolute max you can fill up a jar. This might be even too much, like maybe a ½ inch lower. Otherwise in the pressure canner it just overflows. So I always check the rim Make sure there's no bits of food there, because when I go to can, that could ruin the seal. So I don't know how much soup is gonna make. It looks like I'm not gonna be using all of these jars. Just took them out. Usually what I do is I put this in the jars, and then whatever's left that wouldn't fill up a whole jar, that's what I dehydrate, right? Yeah, the rim's good. You gotta tighten these, but you don't tighten them like that. It's just kind of like that, so that otherwise they won't. They'll have pressure. It could break. The pressure will be wrong. It won't can. You gotta tighten them. They call it finger tight. Yeah, that might be even a bit over full, but hopefully not. That's pretty full, so I'm actually gonna let some out here, and I'll use a clean piece of shop towel to wipe the edge before I put my lid on. So if you've got pieces of food on the lip of the lid, you can compromise the seal and lose your food. Have you looked into a freeze dryer for dehydrating soup and things? I've not. I don't know. Do you know anything about that? I have just a regular dehydrator. I have I could do it in the oven. And I have my grill, which has a smoke and dehydrate feature. But I have just the dehydrator, just the normal dehydrator. But that is basically just blows warm air on racks. Yeah. But freeze dried, I don't even know what it is. Is it like the way it sounds? It's super cold? I don't really know what that process of freeze drying is and how it differs from dehydration. I think we've got enough soup for one more jar. From what I understand, Donald Cooper, it uses freezing and vacuum to pull the moisture out without breaking the food down like heat does. It's supposed to preserve more nutrients in the food. Well, that's interesting. I guess you need like a special machine for it, like a freeze dryer, I guess, right? I've never really looked into it. Yeah, so there's about a cup and a half left, and either I'll have that for lunch or I'll dehydrate it. There we go. It looks like we got 6. I guess quarts, right? Okay, it makes soup lighter for backpacking. Nice, nice. Let's get the pressure canner and we'll get that started. And that'll be the end of the stream because I don't think anybody wants to watch a pot warm up. Okay, there are a few brands focusing on home use of freeze dryers, I assume. The only one I know of, the top of my head, is Harvest Right. Okay. Okay, so I'm checking the seal. I'm checking that everything works properly. Let's just fill this up. Not fill it up, but put a couple cups of water in there. We'll drop them in. And get them started. I find I have to heat up the pressure canner very slowly. So I'll put it at literally at like 3 on the stove for like a half hour. And then when I feel like the canner is warming up, then so this is safe. Usually I wouldn't put the hot jars in with the cold water, but I didn't get this soup very hot. It's just basically kind of between warm and hot, so it's safe to put in with the cold water. But yeah, I have to really control how quickly the pressure changes. Otherwise, I get overspill over top the edge of the jar. So my pressure gauge, I haven't. You're supposed to go get it adjusted in your own town because of the altitude or anything, but I go more by this lid here. As the pressure mounts, it starts to jiggle, and I just keep it at the jiggle, which is about 12 to 15 pounds of pressure, probably closer to 15, which is plenty for anything that I do. Nothing I ever can goes above 15. I don't think you should have your pressure canner go above 15. The maximum is 20. So I go mostly by this jiggler, and I just keep an eye on it. I don't take off or anything. So I guess it overflows from the food expanding in the heat. That's right, yeah. So as the food heats, but the thing is if it heats up too quick, I don't know if it's like the pockets of air in the food cause like these kind of like volcanic explosions of soup. It's not so bad with like if you're canning meat, but if I'm canning a soup that's thick like this, I got to be really careful. And then the same thing happens when I go to depressurize. I don't just like take off the thing and let the pressure off, or take it off the heat. I roll the heat off like 2 notches every like 20 minutes. And so this canning process will take a couple hours, but it's not like active. I can go do some reading or something, work on something else. As long as I'm not wearing headphones, I'm paying attention to the jiggler, everything is safe and it's good. So that's it for the 500 subscribers stream. If you're not subscribed yet, please do. Hit the like button. This relates to my comic books very, very, very tangentially in the sense that, um, a lot of Canadians, especially up north, prepare for the winter by doing canning. My mother did canning, and so my comic book is inspired by the spirit of Canada. So to me, in my mind, I associate food preservation with my mother and my grandmothers and my ancestors who were, the salt, salt of the earth people who lived here. So, best of luck with everything. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.